clear your energy, get it in the right frame of mind that you need to be the most important and valuable asset your team has.
Absolutely. You as a leader set the tone in what's going to happen that day, honestly, every day. And that's why clearing your energy, walking in, it's crucial.
Yeah.
It really is. You as a leader do not have the luxury to be negative.
When you have that 8-figure mindset, your values, your vision, and your goals align. And I think that that's one of the key things that when you talk to 8-figure founders, we were talking to a gentleman the other night, right? And he's building this business and it's about ready to get IPO'd, clearly in the stratosphere of now getting closer to, high 8s, now 9-figure business.
Mm-hmm.
His mindset is not anything other than
workhorse.
I'm going to drive. I'm going to get this to the, done. I'm going to reward the people that are work for me, that have invested in me. And, the mindset drives his numbers because he's not going to fail. And I think that's why we stress it's so important in our programs, is that if you don't have your values and your visions and your goals aligned, you can put all the strategy in the world. It's not going to get there.
Well, and also, you really have to focus on who you want to become. Remember that conversation that we always have about seeing yourself on the other side?
Yes.
Breaking that board and know that you're going to break it. Same thing. You have to be able to embody who you want to be. So identity is important when it comes to an 8-figure mindset.
What are 3 or 4 of the most important attributes of the 8-figure mindset?
Well, definitely embodiment, understanding who you want to become, right? I would say alignment with your vision and your values are critical. Understand what that is. Your time is so important. Make sure that there's ROI behind that time that you spend when you say yes. Okay. And those are my 3. What about yours?
Those are spot on. Maybe I would add just that idea that 8-figure founders weren't always 8-figure founders. They had to believe in themselves, and then they had to do the work. And I think that that's the only thing, is that even to this day, we work, right? It's just, it's who we are. We're not looking for anything less. We're built to do that. And I think 8-figure founders have found that that is their music, right? They're doing the work. Now they may do slightly different work, right, than what they started doing, but they're still working and they're still growing. And I think that's maybe the 5th thing, is that, and we didn't spend a lot of time on it, but they are learning. They're constantly learning. They're learning new skills. They're learning new ways to enhance their services and their products. They're constantly growing. Those are the key 5 for me then.
Yeah, that's good. And also adaptability. A lot of people don't understand that you must be adaptable when you are growing your business and you're having, and if your goal is 8-figure, 9-figure, be better ready to be adaptable to whatever comes your way, because there's a lot that comes your way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's life, and you have to be able to adapt.
It is. So we now went from 3 to 4, now
there's
to
a whole bunch.
6. And I was just thinking while you were talking about
There's
another
more.
one. And I think this is something that we have done extremely well.
What's that?
We're not afraid to get into the big room.
That, and we don't spend a lot of time in the weeds either,
Well, I can, but
you can.
Yeah.
But I don't. I don't have time for that, And so, and investing in yourself, I would say in those rooms that you were talking about, it's not about status, buying a VIP ticket.
Mm-hmm.
It is about being proximity, in my opinion.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And so, and in proximity with purpose.
Yeah.
It's not about the applause and the thing, It really is genuine connecting with people that you would want to answer their phone call at 2:00 in the morning.
Years and years ago when I was in corporate,
Mm-hmm.
I remember, and you and I had just, so this is about 25 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
people were thanking you
I know.
because, because you got me to be calmer, more
Happier.
well, clearly happier, but also I will admit I was a pretty direct. I'm still a very direct person. I just try to use better words. In my expectations, while I still have them, I'm understanding of things that could be impacting them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that why that story, that mirror, was making me reflect while you were talking about it was that I remember a time where, I mean, I literally was called into my boss's office,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I love everything you're doing. I just need you to not be that. and that was, I really was, I didn't show any empathy.
Mm.
And I know it took me a little bit to get to the word, but I think that as leaders, we have to understand it and appreciate what someone else might be going through. And we don't know everything about our teams. I mean, as close as some of our teams are with us, we still don't know everything that's going on in their lives.
Right.
And so there may be things that they can't or maybe shouldn't discuss with you, but we have to be at least appreciative that there may be that out there. Not that that's 100% the excuse. And I don't want to leverage it that way. But I think that, to me, I know that I was pretty hard on some people early on in my career because I didn't think it was anything other but it's either this or it's that. Versus now I think as I've grown, and one of the things I want people to take away from this is that was perceived as negative. Now I think most people consider me a pretty positive person when I'm dealing with business and managing teams and things like that. Can I get there? Sure. But I recognize it now. And it takes self-development
Yeah.
as a leader.
Self-discipline.
And you said something about before you walk in the door.
Clear your energy.
Clear your energy. I was going to say clear your head, but clear your energy. Get it in the right frame of mind that you need to be the most important and valuable asset your team has.
Absolutely. You as a leader set the tone in what's going to happen that day, honestly, every day. And that's why clearing your energy, walking in, it's crucial.
Yeah.
It really is. You as a leader do not have the luxury to be negative. It's just isn't negotiable, like I said before. And thank you for sharing that story because I remember that. I remember people, I didn't see you that way, right? But then we met in different circumstances. But I was like that too when I was in corporate. And I don't know if it had to do with the leadership that was above me. And that mirror, I was mirroring exactly what I was seeing, and at the time, understanding how to clear your energy wasn't a thing, right? And I transferred that when we opened the business, right? We had all these people depending on us, and we never really looked at them as such, and never really looked at them as people that have issues too. Right. We expected them to come to work, have a good attitude for our clients, but we were not willing to do the same. And that's just not right, And obviously, as you mature, as you self-develop yourself, as you learn the importance of showing up for your people and showing up for people in general, you learn that those are things that are non-negotiable, and you try to bring that every single day. Is it perfect? No. Right? But I would say that today you can talk to any of our staff, and they would say that they love working for us, right? Because we became emotionally available for them.
Yeah. And I think what you're really talking about is, especially in entrepreneurship, when it's more than just you driving your numbers and the amount of pressure. And I think that it's interesting because not an excuse, but a lot of times employees don't understand the pressure you have to make sure that you retain them, to make sure that they get a raise, to make sure that they're making a good living. And then at the same time, you're trying to make a good living for yourself.
Absolutely.
And so there is a lot of pressure on this. And so what I want people to take away from is the pressure is there. It's how we manage to that pressure and allow for opportunities for things not to be perfect.
Right.
And if we can grow in that way, you build a very strong team. You build a strong team that's willing to go through a wall for you.
Yes.
And if you build that team, 7 figures isn't your concern. 8 figures is your next obstacle and opportunity, because
they'll help you get there.
It will help you get there. They want to. Yeah. You know, I don't think anybody takes a job because they don't want to be there. And I think the only reason, one of the number one reasons why people leave is because of I was going to say leadership, but the lack thereof leadership, right? And so we have to remember as leaders, as business owners, that they're there to help us. They want to help us. We have to appreciate that, respect that, and understand their days aren't always perfect either. Setting the stage does not mean you have to be this strict disciplinarian, right? It just means you have to make sure you set the stage, but how it's spoken and is going to be how it's received. And there's not going to be the pushback of, I'm just going to get yelled at after this happens because it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, we recently had that discussion with him, and I told him, and this is what I said that created this sense of urgency to please me and make sure that I got what I wanted, which it was.
And by the way, we all sense this is going to happen.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen on my timeline. But how I'm going to ask for it is setting the stage that I value communication. In order for this to work, I need to understand what is it that isn't going to happen, because I do have other moving pieces in the back end that I need to be doing, right? So it's a collaboration. Therefore, you need to be able to have a communication piece that says, hey, I value this. This is what I need from you. Can you deliver? And holding people accountable to that is very critical to the success of any project. And the same thing goes with if somebody tells you, I'm going to, a proposal recently that we got from in a project that we're doing, right, for one of our websites, BNN, exactly. And when we left, first of all, I like to complete questionnaires that are going to make somebody else's life easier. Because when I make somebody else's life easier, that means that they make my life a lot easier. Mm-hmm. They're coming in with the information that I need. And so from there, we can, move forward the project. But one of the things that I did, she said, I'll have the proposal ready for you soon. That's wonderful. When should I expect that proposal? You're not telling them when you're going to get it. You are just holding them accountable that when they tell you they're going to give it to you, they're going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And so I think that creates a really good environment for good working relationship, because now she understands what I value. And my time is money, and therefore I expect that when you do say you're going to send it to me, you're going to send it to me. And she did. She absolutely did. We looked at the proposal. Now it is our job to go back and say, thank you for sending it. We will review it, just like we got another proposal from a landscaping guy. I communicated exactly what I needed. I need a clean proposal that I can read and understand. He sent me exactly that. A proposal that is clean and you're able to read it. Did you read the email?
I saw it, yes.
Yeah. And so I committed to him that after the weekend, I will get back with him. So by Monday, I'm doing it because I expect people to do things. I have to do the same thing. I hold myself to that standard.
Yeah. And you know what I think I'm hearing and
you know this because you know when I ask you for something,
whoa.
It's true. When I ask you for something and you don't give it to me, I get spicy right away because you leave it very open and I don't like open. I like conclusive.
Well, I didn't know this was about me, but thank you.
Well, it is always about you, honey.
Yeah, well, no, it's really very rarely ever about me. But what I'm hearing, though, is something that somebody else said to you the other day is that you met at an event and then you were, as you always do, you come back with your list of people you want to speak to and you had a scheduled call just to see if there's a
synergy.
Possible synergy. Our favorite word lately, synergy. And you engage them to see if there's an opportunity for whether it's you or us to help them, if there's something that we can work on together or wherever it takes it. But it was interesting. She did her little bit of research and she said, Madeline, this is really interesting about your background. I didn't even know you were in that industry because all I ever read about you is a lot about leadership. And you just paused. And I remember hearing you say this, and I was in the room, but I wasn't on the call. And you said, that's because leadership is in everything. And those couple of examples that you went outside of the workforce and outside of just regular how we run our businesses were about things of just leading people to an end result that's going to be positive for both parties. And I don't think you can ask for more than that in any conversation you have. Is there ultimately a mutual benefit for us to engage? And are we respecting each other enough to be able to be honest with what our expectations are and then hold each other truly accountable? And then the most important thing I heard from you is you have to communicate. And if you don't, and I know I am guilty of what you just said. I sometimes, if I'm not there, when are you going to have it? I will get it to you soon. And then you're like, well, I need it by, okay, well, that's not going to happen. And how about this day? And now we just figured a day that works for both of us. And it takes the argument away. It takes the legal stuff if you're in a business arrangement away a little bit, right? Unless they're just constantly doing that. But to me, that's kind of what I just heard you walk through. And I think those are some great takeaways for our audience, right? Is setting expectations the right way. Leading in everything that we do, no matter what it is. You mentioned the girls, right? I mean, it's not telling them, it's helping them, right? Hey, I need this. I need you to do this. Or, when they were younger, now they're grown and we don't actually get to tell them that anymore. But
but they act on exactly what we taught them, the foundation that we put in place. A lot of people think that leadership is only in the work environment. Leadership starts with you. The discipline that you put into your life and how you lead yourself is how you're going to lead others. And if you can't lead yourself, don't expect to lead others because they're not going to respect you. They're not going to listen to you. You're not going to get anything accomplished.
And I'm going to take my cue that was a mic drop moment. And I'm just going to finish this up that, hey guys, we hope that you enjoyed this topic, a little bit about how Madeline has grown as a leader, a little bragging on my half about Moguls in Business Magazine, and we'll drop a link into the show notes for you to check that out. But most importantly, if this helped you, we'd love to see a comment back from you and telling us how it helped you. And if you have any questions, feel free to do that as well. And as always, thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to speaking to you next time. See you soon.
Let's get to work.